Now, in the last few minutes, scientists in Leicester who identified the remains of King Richard III have announced they want to carry out more research on his bones before they're reburied.
The team from the University of Leicester want to map the King's entire genetic code to learn more about him, as Stacey Foster reports.
Did Richard III really have dark brown hair? And his eyes, were they really brown too? Researchers at the University of Leicester want to now completely map the whole of his DNA to find out as much as possible. It will involve grinding some of his bones found in a car park in Leicester a year ago into powder and extracting DNA. They've already done a lot of research like this to identify his remains. That led to this, the first facial reconstruction. But this latest strand of the research will go even further, into more detail, and it could even tell us about infections that Richard may have had when he died more than 500 years ago.
We're going to be able to say certain things about him. We'll be able to learn more about Richard and add another layer of information to what we know about him from historical and archaeological records. And it'll tell us a bit more about him as an individual. It's going to allow insight into his genetic makeup and predisposition towards disease. One of the things that I'm going to be particularly interested in looking at is, as genes become associated with things like scoliosis, can we look to see whether or not Richard III was predisposed towards scoliosis, for example.
The research has to be carried out now, though, before the bones are reinterred, either in Leicester or in York. The battle between the two cities heads back into court next month, with a decision expected in May.
People are really interested in Richard III, and if this provides a way of teaching people about genetics, what genetics can and cannot tell us, I like the fact that he's becoming a resource for us.
If it turns out that with the genome that Turi sequences suggest he had green eyes and blonde hair or something, why did artists at the time choose to represent him in particular ways? With the sort of social and political implications of drawing a very, very controversial king?
Meanwhile, Leicester Cathedral press on with their plans for the reburial, unveiling designs for a new stained glass window. And it's possible that these scientists will be able to reveal more detailed information about Richard III himself before he's finally laid to rest. Stacey Foster, ITV News.